how are you? I hope you're doing good. So, for today's occasion, I'm going to discuss questions from US National Chemistry Olympiad for numbers 21 until 25. If you don't have the question paper, you can go and visit my blog here, and then the questions can be downloaded there. But if you don't want to download the question, it's still okay anyway because the question will be shown. Alright, so let's start from question number 21. The question says that a reaction has a positive entropy change and enthalpy change. Which statement about this reaction must be correct? So there are four options there, and then we are going to evaluate each of the statements. Let's start from option A. If carried out in a well-insulated flask, the temperature of the reaction mixture will decrease. So, if you can recall the question, it says that the reaction has a positive enthalpy change. So, this means the energy of the system rise. The next question is, how does the system gets its energy? So, of course, the energy is taken from the surrounding. And then if the container is well insulated, so this means that the temperature of the mixture will decrease, which means option A is correct. But anyhow, let's check other option. Option B, it will occur spontaneously at 25 degrees of Celsius and 1 atm of pressure. So if you know the criteria of the spontaneity is from delta G, Gibbs free energy. If delta G less than 0, then the reaction will be spontaneous. The problem here is that change in enthalpy and entropy is both positive. So we cannot tell whether delta G is positive or negative, which means we don't know whether the reaction will be spontaneous or not. And then next option C, as the temperature rises, the equilibrium constant for this reaction decreases. The equilibrium constant has something to do with delta G, and their correlation can be expressed like this. However, since we don't know the value of delta G, either it is positive or negative, then we cannot tell how the temperature change will affect the equilibrium constant. So option C is wrong. And then D, the reaction has more moles of products than it has moles of reactants. This is the most confusing sentence actually. Well, even though in the very special circumstance we can tell whether the products is greater or less than reactant, but in most of the time it's not the case. So option D is wrong. So finally the correct answer is A. Alright, now let's continue to question number 22. Question number 22. What is the boiling point of water in a pressure cooker with a pressure of 2 atm? Given that the enthalpy of vaporization of water is 40.7 kilojoules over mole. Well, actually, this is the most challenging question, mathematically speaking. So to solve this question, you have to have a great mathematical skills. But before that, the information that we can tell is that the enthalpy is 40.7 kilojoule per mole. So the value is positive because this is an endothermic reaction. It requires energy for vaporization. And then the normal boiling point of water is 100 degrees of Celsius at 1 atm of pressure. And then boiling point boiling process is an example of equilibrium because it involves two phases of water, in this case liquid and gas. So let's see, during equilibrium process, the requirement is that delta G equals 0. So delta G is the standard delta G plus RT ln K equals 0. So finally we can get this correlation. So standard delta G is equal to minus RT times ln K. K is the equilibrium constant. And then let's recall that delta G equals to delta H minus T delta S. And then this one we just switch their sides. So RT ln K equals T delta S minus delta H. If we want to simplify this correlation, then both sides can be divided by RT. So we can get this correlation. Ln K equals delta S over R minus delta H over RT. So now we can have a simpler version of the correlation. Well, we can evaluate this correlation at T1 and also at T2. That will give us this expression. And then if we subtract both expressions, we will get another expression like this. So ln K1 minus ln K2 equals delta H over RT2 minus delta H over RT1. Well, please pay attention that they have common factor here, delta H over R, and then by applying the logarithmic property, we can get another correlation here. Okay, so let's save this correlation for later, and let's do another analysis. So when water boils, there's an equilibrium between water in liquid phase and water in gaseous phase. And then equilibrium constant is given by the concentration of water vapor divided by the concentration of liquid water. And then recall the ideal gas correlation, PV equals nRT. So by rearranging this correlation, the concentration is equal to N over V. So this means P over RT. And then at normal boiling point, so water boils at 100 degrees of Celsius at 1 atm. So we can change the values for this expression. So by replacing the value of P and T, we can get, or we can obtain that the value of concentration of water vapor is this. Well, this is at 100 degrees of Celsius and 1 atm. And then at the second condition, we know that the pressure is 2 atm, but unfortunately the temperature is not known. So the concentration of water vapor at the second condition is still containing T variable. Okay, now let's recall the previous correlation. So K1 over K2, meaning that we have this correlation, and then assume that the concentration of water in liquid form is always constant to simplify calculation, then we can get this. Okay, so now let's continue. If we recall the m values, by substituting the m values, we can get k1 over k2 equals to this. So there's a division inside division. So k1 over k2 is equal to 0.00134 T2 something. Alright, until here, can you still follow me before we continue to the next stage? Okay, so now let's see. Let's recall this correlation. Ln k1 over k2 equals delta H over R times 1 over T2 minus 1 over T1. And then by substituting the value of k1 over k2, this is what we get. And then remember that the value of delta H is 40.7, but that's in kilojoule over mole. And then we can get this one. So ln 0.00134 plus ln T2 equals to 40,700 over 8.314. And then 40,700 over 8.3 something is 4,895. So basically we expand this expression. And then ln 0.00134 is minus 6 something. And then this one we have minus 13.12. So we can bring this to the left side. So it becomes positive 13.12 minus 6.6. So this is what we get. The result is 6.509 plus ln T2 equals to 4,895 over T2. Well, basically this equation contains T2 in the form of logarithmic function and also fraction. So this is not good. So in order to find the solution, we have to apply the Taylor series of expansion for the logarithmic function. And then the function is evaluated at T1 actually. So the first guess is assume that T2 is close to T1. This is the assumption. So using Taylor series of expansion, then the logarithmic function can be written like this. Alright, so this is the original equation. And then pay attention, the logarithmic function here, ln, I'm going to replace this ln function with the result from the Taylor series of expansion. So this is what we get. And then here, T2 minus 373 over 373. So we can simplify that. So it becomes T2 over 373 minus 1. And then there is no change at the right side. And then the ln of 373 is 5.9 something. And then this is minus 1. We move it here. And then T2 over 373, we move it to the right side. So finally, this is what we get. The equation now is containing variable in form of linear function and also fractional function. This is still easier than the logarithmic function because the things that we can do is just multiply by 373 T2. So this is what we get. So it becomes this. So basically this is a quadratic equation, but this is still not in the basic form. So by doing rearrangement, we can get a quadratic equation in the standard form. And then if we already get this, then to find the possible value is not difficult. So this is what we get, 119 degrees of Celsius. So this is if we apply the Taylor expansion. But if we using computer, the result is, well, doesn't change much. So this means the closest answer is B. So the answer is 121. Well, of course there will be some variations because I'm pretty sure that the answer is from laboratory data or experimental data, while the result that I obtained here is from mathematical correlation. Of course there are lots of assumptions there. Yeah, for example, like the delta H value is assumed constant, and then also the concentration of liquid water is assumed constant, and so on. So, well, anyhow, the answer is B. And then let's go to question number 23. The gas phase bromination of propene has a standard enthalpy of reaction of minus 122.5 kilojoules per mole. So the reaction is given there, and then also the standard enthalpy of formation for propene and then also for liquid bromine are also given there. So the question is, what is standard enthalpy of formation of bromopropene? So in order to calculate the value, we have to rewrite the reactions. So the reaction can be written like this. So first reaction is the opposite of the formation reaction. So that's why the enthalpy will be the opposite. In this case, the value will be the negative of the enthalpy of the formation. So the total reactions of these three reactions will be like this, and the result delta H is minus 122.5. So by applying this correlation and then by sub in their values, this is what we can get. So 20.4 and then also 30.9. If we add them, the result is 51.3. So the enthalpy so the formation standard enthalpy is minus 71.2 kilojoules over mole, which means that the answer is A. Okay, so let's continue with question number 24. Titanium has a normal melting point of 1668 degrees of Celsius, and then molar enthalpy of fusion 14.15, and then the standard molar enthalpy is 97.53. So what is the standard molar entropy of titanium at this temperature? Okay. So again, melting basically isn't equilibrium process. Why? Because it involves titanium at two different states, in this case solid and liquid. So basically the criteria for reversible process is that delta G equals 0. And then here's the melting point. So 1941 degrees of Kelvin. And then this is the enthalpy of fusion. So this equation means that the enthalpy of fusion equals to T times delta S. And then we have the value for the enthalpy of fusion here. And then the temperature is also given there. So this means we can get the entropy change. So the entropy change can be obtained quite easily. So this is what we get, 7.29 joule over mole Kelvin. So this is the value of the entropy change. And then how can we calculate entropy change? Yeah, obviously entropy change is the change of entropy. It means that the final value minus initial value. So we can rearrange the correlation because we need to calculate the entropy at the beginning. So the entropy of the liquid titanium is given there, and then delta S we already know from calculation. So this means that the entropy of titanium at the solid condition or at the solid phase is 90.24 joule over mole Kelvin, which means that the answer is B. So I hope you don't have any problem with this. Before we go to last question. Last question, this is considerably easy because, well, I think question 22 is extremely difficult, so this is like a bonus question. So the question is there, if the rate of disappearance of fluorine is 1 molar over second, then what is the rate of appearance of the, chloro 3 fluoride? Okay, so we know that there's a rule like this. So mole ratio follows coefficient ratio. So basically if we divide it by time and then also volume, we will get this correlation. So rate ratio follows coefficient ratio. So this means that the rate of fluorine and then compared to the rate of ClF3 equals to 3 over 2. So 3 over 2 is the coefficient ratio. So in fraction form, we can get this correlation. And then finally, the rate of ClF3. So this is what we can get, 2/3 molar over second. So the answer is B. Okay, so I hope you don't have any problems with this. So thank you very much for watching this video. So we meet again next time. So thank you very much.